Hello, 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 and welcome to the Yoga Teacher Collaborative live show and podcast. We will be going live in just a second, or going into our topic just a second, in the how-tos of day retreats. But let me just check the tech, check that we're all here. Drop me a comment if you are here, my lovelies, just so I know we are all working. I'm really excited for today. I absolutely love running yoga day retreats. Good, that looks like it's all good on my end. So let us begin. Welcome to the Yoga Teacher Collaborative live show and the Yoga Teacher Collaborative podcast. Whether you are joining me live in Facebook or you are listening to this on the podcast, thank you so much for having the time to be here to explore with me how to thrive as a yoga teacher. My name is Laura Green. I'm a yoga teacher of 15 years, been practicing yoga for 22, something like that. And I love teaching yoga, but I also love supporting yoga teachers to thrive, helping you both to upskill as a teacher, but also in the business side. And today is definitely more on that upskilling and elevating as we look at the do's, don'ts, and how-tos of running a yoga day retreat or half day retreat. This session is really well timed. We are live now at the end of October, which is a perfect time for you to start thinking about your yoga day retreat events for 2025. I do love to plan a year out in advance like that. Like I have got my venues booked for my day retreats all the way through to December 2025. I have just done it this week. I've just got my 2025 day retreat calendar set up. I've booked all my venues. I've put them all on the website. So this is perfect timing. Do the groundwork now so that then you can just fly with your day retreats in 2025. Before we go into today's specific training, there is a guide that you can download that will help you with this as well. So you can take on board what I'm training you in here and then go through the steps yourself written out in the guide. To get the guide, you just simply need to go to my website, lauragreenyoga.co.uk/freebies. And then in the freebies, you'll find all of my freebies. And one of them is, it's like the fourth one down, Roadmap to Sold Out Retreats and Workshops. So make sure you go and download that because that's going to help you take action and tick off the steps you're learning today. So lauragreenyoga.co.uk/freebies. All right, yoga day retreats. So I remember when yoga day retreats weren't a thing. Anyone else? They just weren't a thing. They didn't exist. Yes, there were weekend retreats abroad, and there were like workshops, 2 to 3 hour workshops, but day retreats just weren't a thing. There weren't any in my town, Southampton, Hampshire. I hadn't been to any, they just didn't exist. And I was actually already running a weekend retreat before I had the idea to just bring people together for a day, because not everybody had the time or the resources to come away for a weekend or longer. And I think this was a really great thing, because when I decided to host my first ever day retreats in the local area, I was creating from a blank page. Nothing existed there. It just wasn't there. So I got to create from within, got to create from the blank page. And this is actually something I would love for you to come back to come back to the creative freedom of not having to fit in, of not having to copy a tried and tested way. Although I will give you a tried and tested way today, but being able to have complete creative freedom and think, if I was going to attend a whole day, what would my dream day look like? What would I love to learn about? What would I love to experience? What would I love the split of like yoga, meditation, and other activities to be like? Because so often we look outside of ourselves, and then we can accidentally end up copying or imitating or just repeating what already exists. And I'm not saying you can't do that, and I will give you a template today, but just take a moment to go to that blank slate, because you can create anything. And this is your purpose. Your purpose isn't to fit in, but to create what only you can create, that has your authentic magic, that has your uniqueness, that has a broader breadth of experiences. So yes, take what I'm going to train you in today, but also just give yourself some free creative space. What would my dream day look like? What hasn't been done? What do I crave but I haven't seen? And create from that space as well. Okay, so first things first, are you ready to run a day retreat? And again, this is something that was different when I started, because these things didn't exist. It took us much longer to have the spark of creation and then to bring these things to fruition. So, back like 15 years ago, from being a new teacher to running workshops to running events, often that was a slightly slower trajectory. It's exciting now that you can do these things faster. And as a new yoga teacher, I've been on a yoga day retreat and thought, oh my God, I would love to bring that to my community. But you do have to pause for a moment and say, yes, running yoga day retreats is something I 100% want to do. Is now the right timing to set me up for success? Or are there other more preparatory things I need to do to be ready to run a day retreat in maybe a year's time? So what are the things you need to have in place before you are ready to run a yoga day retreat? First and foremost, you have to have a community of students that are able to attend an event with you. If you only have a very small group of students because you're still building up, it would be an added stress and a worry to be putting on a day retreat right now. You want to focus on the basics of building up your classes and building up your community until you have a large enough community to launch a retreat into. And why is that? Say you've got a class of, 10 students. They're really committed, really loyal, love doing the practice with you. You'd love to put a day retreat on. Of those 10, you've got to select a date. And at least one or more of those 10 just won't be available on the date you've selected. Or maybe they are available on that date, but they don't have the financial resources to spend that money on a whole day just for them. Or maybe they're actually just not interested in it. They love coming to do yoga with you for an hour, but where they currently are in their practice, they're not ready to spend a whole day doing it. So of a class of 10, quite a few won't be able to attend. So a class of 10 is too small to launch a day retreat into. I think you need a good 3 to 4 well-established classes before you launch a day retreat, so that you can actually fill it and not be stressed about the financial outlay. So focus on the foundations of building your community, building your classes before, in a year, 2 years' time, launching a day retreat. Have you built up your teaching experience to be able to hold a day? It's like learning to run. At first, running, we run for a minute, we walk for a minute. We run for a minute, we walk for a minute. And then we have to build that up. And then maybe you can run for 5 kilometers, maybe you can run for 10 kilometers, but you wouldn't set out by running a marathon. It's the same as you build your teaching skills to be able to hold space. First of all, we learn how to hold an hour's class, how to be exceptionally present for an hour, how to have enough teaching experience to teach authentically for an hour. And then we need to expand that out to teaching for maybe 2 or 3 hours. So the next step, if you've only taught classes, is actually to host a workshop. And this gets your students used to investing more time and going deeper into the practice with you. So if you haven't hosted a workshop yet, I probably wouldn't jump straight to running a whole day retreat. I'm sure you could do it, but your evolution would be better and the experience would be better if you gave it the time it deserves. So do a workshop next. And workshops are much easier because they don't involve catering. They're just one topic, 2 to 3 hours. They can be more affordable. And then they're expanding your skills and being able to hold space for a longer period of time. Once you feel you can hold your students, being really present, having enough content easily for 3 hours, then the next evolution in your journey would be to come to either half a day retreat or a whole day retreat. I personally don't do half day retreats because there's often the same amount of costs in them. Venue, catering, but you have to charge them at a lower amount. So I would just do 3-hour workshops with no catering and then jump to a whole day retreat. So once you've decided, I have a community that is big enough, I've got, say, 40, 50 students on my database, they're well attending my classes, I feel ready. Yes, I'm feeling confident about teaching for longer than an hour. I've done 2 to 3 hours, they're feeling good. Then let's look at how we bring your day retreat together. First and foremost, I want you to decide the price point. You're not deciding the price itself because other things factor into that, but the rough price point. Is this going to be a luxury day retreat or is this going to be a more affordable day retreat? My advice for your first day retreat is to keep it on the more affordable side. That's going to lessen your financial outlay and mean more of your community can book it. We want your first one to be easy. So deciding, is this luxury or is this more of an affordable price point? Then, does that price point you've decided reflect the community you have? So if you have decided that you want to do a really luxury day retreat, but maybe the community that are coming to your weekly classes aren't sort of high earners with a lot of disposable income, you have to question if there's a disparity there. So if coming to a weekly class is already a financial commitment to people, you want to keep it more affordable. If you teach in a very affluent area, maybe a more luxury day retreat might be appropriate. Then, once you've decided what that price point is, roughly, and whether that is in alignment with your community, also thinking kind of still in the price point, but is this high ticket small group or low ticket large group? And what I mean by high ticket and low ticket is the price. So a higher ticket is a higher priced event. Is it something like £200, £250 for a day retreat? I've never worked at that price point. It isn't in harmony with my community, but I have seen many people work at that price point. That would be a higher ticket. Higher tickets can be good if it's a smaller group. So if you only want to hold space for 6 people or 8 people and you want to do really individual, nourishing work, lots of shares, a really safe space where people get to speak, be heard, have the experience tailored for them, almost like a kind of support, mentoring, coaching kind of experience within the yoga, then higher ticket might be suitable, higher ticket, smaller group. Or are you going lower ticket, so keeping it at a more affordable price point? I think when I started my day retreats, they were £75 for a day. Now I charge £125, £95, it depends, but somewhere between £95 and £125. I started at £75. And that is lower ticket for a whole day, especially when you remember they include food. But then I would take larger groups. My day retreats now, they're anything from 18 to 28 people. And again, just like building up your experience and being able to host a group for a longer period of time, you build up your experience in the size of group you're able to host. So I think 12 is a sweet spot, but my events sell out so quickly that I want to give more people the opportunity to attend, and I've built my experience to be able to hold 28 people with it still feeling intimate. So where are you sitting there with high ticket small group or low come in a cropper sometimes is they feel drawn to do a smaller group, and that's really nice if you're starting out, and feel drawn to do it as a low price point. Now you can do that, you can do a low price point and small group, but then you've got to super keep an eye on your costs. So that is going to factor into decisions based around food, catering, guest teachers, and venue. So if you're going to do low ticket, small group, you're going to have to be really strict on the budget. Otherwise, play with that balance between group size and price. And then, of course, when we're looking at your price point, how much do you want to earn from putting on this event? And remember, I didn't say how much do you want to earn from teaching this day. How much do you want to earn from putting on this event? Because you've got to source a venue. You're probably going to go and visit the venue unless it's something you've seen before. You're going to go and have to source a caterer. You're going to have to go and make a web page or a sales document with it. You're going to have to make marketing materials. You're going to have to write some marketing emails. You're going to have to show up in the Facebook group. You're going to have to assemble your teaching supplies for the day. You're going to have to plan a whole day's worth of content. You're going to have to deliver that day of content, set up and pack up, and then do the follow-up admin afterwards. So it's a lot more than how much do I want to earn from teaching a 6-7 hour day retreat. How much do you want to earn from hosting this event? And this wildly changes person to person, but it needs to be a good few £100s. I would recommend if you're just starting out, and again, it's really hard giving you figures, but I like to give you figures if I can, but if you're just starting out, maybe something like £700 to £800 would be worthwhile to earn for hosting this event. Up to more than that. Day retreats are actually one of the most profitable things I do. I can make almost as much money on a day retreat as I do on hosting an entire weekend retreat. So profit, again, I like to be transparent with you, and it's very different person to person, but I can clear about £1,800 profit from hosting a day retreat. But it took me time to work up to that, to work my price point to the right place and the number of people I can take. Remember, I'm low ticket, large group, okay? But somewhere between, 700, 800 up, and know they really can go up on that. It is a lot of work and expertise you're putting into it. Okay. So then once you've had a rough idea of price point, then you can start to look at venue. This is going to be restricted by the price point you've considered. So say you are going low ticket, so you want to keep it affordable, and you're a newer teacher, you want to keep the group size small. Then you're going to have to go for a really affordable venue. So don't discount your normal village halls, the normal places you continue to run your classes. So I run one of my classes in a lovely village hall. It's called Chilworth Village Hall. It's my cheapest hall. They charge me £13 an hour. Some of my other halls are £30 an hour, but £13 an hour. It's got a small kitchen off the side. It's got green space in front of it. It's absolutely perfect for a day retreat. Yes, there's nothing posh, there's nothing luxury about it, but it would enable me to keep it cheaper and to not have to have a really big group in there to cover the costs and make what I need to make on it. So please don't discount your village hall. People aren't coming to your day retreat for the venue. They're coming to the day retreat to spend a whole day immersed in yoga with you. So if you're starting out, keep things simple, keep things affordable. Don't discount your local village halls. Other options, of course, wedding venues. A lot of my day retreats are at wedding venues, and the wedding venues will only let me use them out of wedding season. So yes, they might be charging thousands of pounds in wedding season, but they'll let us have out of wedding season. One of my wedding venues charges me £350 for the day. It's a big space. Okay, that's the space I can take 28 people in. But it's a big space. All they do is open up, I go in and lock up. Okay. Then you might find other more alternative venues in your community, like there might be a yurt somewhere in someone's garden, there might be other sort of community spaces around. You can collaborate with a hotel. Sometimes they have conference rooms. Some of the conference rooms can be nice, some of them not so much. Make sure you go and visit it first. Event spaces. I use an event barn. They charge me £260 for the day. I think I can get 18 people in there. Maybe a vineyard. I have collaborated with lots of vineyards. They often have a wine tasting room that could be suitable for you to hold an event in. There's a gin distillery near me that has a suitable space for running an event in. Farms sometimes have on-site buildings that you can use. Conference centres. Believe it or not, I've actually run a day retreat in a nunnery. One of my favourite places. They had a labyrinth outside that you could walk around. So get creative, look around, source your own venues, and even go on your local Facebook groups and ask. Say, I'm looking for a space to bring together a yoga day retreat. Does anybody know of a space? Get creative with your Googling, event space, wedding space. Just get really creative, put it out there, but please don't discount your village hall, especially if the price point needs to be more affordable. Then, of course, does the day hire of the venue match with your price point, and what is the capacity? This is going to make a real difference to setting your price. Can you take just 8 people in there? Then you're going to have to go high ticket. Or can you take 20 people in there? Is it just one room, or is there somewhere separate to eat? I don't love, and I know some of my fellow teachers feel the same, I don't love eating in the same place I do yoga. In one of my venues, I have no choice. They have some pop-up tables, so we roll out the mats, I pop up tables, put a tablecloth on, and really quickly convert it into an eating space, but it is a bit of an effort. There's other reasons why I like that venue. So is there somewhere separate to eat? It doesn't have to be like full-on table and chairs, but is there a separate room with maybe some tables? Is there some space outside? Where can people go to eat? Is it close to other activities? Especially for me, is it close to a nice walk? Or, I've seen some lovely SUP yoga day retreats. Is it close to some water where you are skilled and qualified to teach SUP yoga, or just paddle boarding? Is there a walk in the area? Do they maybe have an outdoor sauna? Do they have a fire pit? Do they have a vineyard? Some of the ones where I've worked with vineyards, it's just nice to get out of the yoga space and go and do a movement meditation in and amongst the vines. So do they have something outside of the just one room, even if it's just green space, that you can get out and do something different? That's really nice, as opposed to spending an entire day within the 4 walls, but it's not a non-negotiable. So just think it through. Is it quite a basic room, and does it need some zhuzhing up? I used to use a tree house, a big tree house, but it was very, very basic. Even though it hosted weddings, when weddings come in, they come in and zhuzh it up with their decorations. You can easily zhuzh a room up with some candles, with an altar, with some crystals, with some flowers. So again, even if your village hall seems quite basic, just a little magic decoration can transform that space from basic village hall to something more sacred. So I'm looking down at my notes, just checking I'm covering anything. And I've already said this, but just making to remind you that your students are there for the yoga, they're not there for the venue. So make sensible choices on your venue that match your budget and aren't going to force you stress to meet that venue's payment. Next up, food. This is a tricky one, my loves, because there is health and safety legalities to bring into consideration. Again, if we are going budget, don't dismiss the option of bring your own lunch. Bring a packed lunch. During COVID, when we were allowed to come back into small gatherings, I got people to bring lunch. There was a time when we were able to host yoga, but you weren't able to meet with more than 6 people to eat, which was tricky in the day retreats. People had to stay socially distanced on their yoga mat. So I got people to bring a packed lunch. I reduced the price and people bought their own packed lunch. It was absolutely fine. As soon as I could go back to catering, I did, but that's because my retreats aren't budget, okay? But you really can, if this makes it more affordable for your community, bring a packed lunch. On my courses, people bring packed lunch. My teacher training course, my immersion course, people bring packed lunch. And then you could elevate that by, providing tea and cake, for etc. Now, if you are providing snacks, tea, cake, energy balls, snacks, it is tricky if you have made those in your own home without having a food and hygiene certificate. You can go and get a food and hygiene certificate. You can do a course. But also, could you just consider buying? I know we love to make, but could you consider buying? And then especially if you've got people with allergies, it's going to be more allergy controlled if you've bought it. You've got a clear list of allergens. You know whether there was any cross-contamination in the kitchen or if it was prepared in a free-from kitchen. But yeah, you could get people to bring a packed lunch and still elevate that experience with treats that you have bought or made if you have a food and hygiene certificate. The easiest option is clearly to have a caterer. Caterer will have all their food and hygiene certificates. They will have all the legalities. They'll have all their insurance. So I really do recommend just getting a caterer, even if it means you choose a cheaper venue to enable you to afford to get a caterer. But the price points vary hugely. So shop around. The caterer I was using last year was a local lady specialised in Indian food. She was charging me £9 a head. That included a curry, a vegetarian curry, a dal, rice, bhajis, and papadums, and a few little other treats. £9 a head. That was really affordable. A couple of other caterers I've dealt with recently would do £10 for a boxed meal. I love a boxed meal. So they do like a cardboard little, almost like a picnic, individual picnic, all kind of filled in. They just drop them off and you give them out to people. Oh my God, that is so easy. No washing up, no service required. That works really well. And they quoted me £10 a head for that. The day retreats I'm doing later this year. I've got one next weekend. I'm using a different caterer for that. He's doing like a Moroccan butternut squash, black bean tagine with a celeriac mash, salads, and he's charging me £14 a head for that, and he's including service. So he's bringing all the cutlery, he's bringing all the crockery, they're serving that, they're taking it all away and washing it all up. So I have gone from paying £9 a head to £14 a head, but he's doing all the crockery and service, which is taking workload off me. But again, really important on the allergies, on the health and safety. You have to be asking your students in writing if they have any allergies or medical dietary requirements. I really make that statement, medical dietary requirements, because you can't be catering for, I don't like mushrooms, I don't like oranges, I don't like coriander. It's too much. Okay? So any allergies or medical dietary requirements is my advice, and then making sure the allergens are obvious or like written out around where you serve the meals. Okay, planning the day. You can do anything. Creative freedom, you can do anything. But here's a rough template to get you going. My days are 10 till 4 or 10 till 5, depending on the topic. And I don't want you to be scared about filling this. It's much easier than you think to fill. So this is my rough schedule. 10 o'clock, welcome, and you're greeted with tea. The way I do tea for absolute ease is I have herbal tea. I have hot water pumps, and I put my herbal tea bags in my hot water pump. It's not as many as if you were doing 1 tea bag per cup. So normally half If I had a group of 16, I'd put nine ginger tea bags in. A hot water pump. Fill it up so it's already full of the herbal tea. I'm sorry, this is such a minor point. And then as people come in, I just pump it out and give them a ginger tea. Pump it out, give them a ginger tea. So there's no, oh, would you like tea? Oh, we've got different flavours. It's just done. Keeps my life simple. So welcome, cup of tea, and we get decision fatigue. Instead of having to say something, what flavours of tea do you want? What do you want? Just, here's a cup of ginger tea. So nice, no decision fatigue, just take it. So that would be 10 till 10:15, tea, welcome. Even though I say the day starts at 10, often there's someone got a bit lost, someone's arrived a bit late, tend never to get started till 10:15. So why not make that a welcome? Then 10:15 till 10:30, opening circle, introduce to the theme of the day. Something I really like for an opening circle is having an altar with some sort of oracle cards around it that relate to the day. I'll get people to arrive in the space, introduce the theme, connect to their breath, then come and select an oracle card, and then I'll get them just to the person on the mat next to them, share their name and talk about how the oracle card did or didn't resonate with them, rather than doing a whole introduce yourself one at a time. Some people can get very anxious about that. It can take time if you're a big group. Just getting them to introduce themselves to the person on the mat next to them is really nice, unless you're doing that high ticket small group, and then you want that intimacy of one-to-one connections. Okay, so that takes me to 10:30. So 10 to 10:15, welcome, cup of tea. 10:15 to 10:30, opening circle, introduce the theme. 10:30 till 12, a 90-minute yoga flow relevant to my theme. My mornings are more dynamic. They might be just more dynamic movement. They might be vinyasa, but more movement. Then 12 o'clock, tea. I will normally got an assistant to switch the flavour of tea bag that is in my hot water pump. So if it was ginger tea when they arrived, it now might be the pucker vanilla chai. And then an energy ball or a little brownie or some dates and some nuts, just a little snack at that point for me. Then 12:15 till 12:45, I do a meditation workshop. 1 till 1:45, lunch provided by a caterer. 2 o'clock, I tend to like to get out on a walk. One of my venues doesn't have a walk access, so I will do another creative workshop. Like we've made our own smudging sticks before, we've made our own oracle cards before, but otherwise 2 p.m. I like to take people out for a countryside walk, some time in nature. That's normally 2 till 3. 3 o'clock, come back, more tea, new flavour, and cake. 3:15 till 4:30, 4:45, 5, depending on you. Yin, restorative, gentle yoga. 4:30 closing. Now, can you see how quick that goes? It's really, really quick. And then within that rough template, I change the theme of the days. So I've got lots of different themes, and again, I want you to have that creative freedom to find a theme that excites you. Not what do you think I should teach, not what day retreats would work well for other people. Look inside. What are you excited to share? What themes excite you? What is your passion and knowledge overflowing on? So some themes I do for inspiration. I've got a day retreat next Sunday on transformative rest. So that will be a whole day on rest and nervous system regulation. 21st of December is my winter solstice day retreat. So again, there'll still be rest, but we will including the rituals around the winter solstice, journaling, as well as the yoga. Then Cosmically Aligned, that's my January day retreat. So that's when I blend another passion of mine. So if you've got another passion or someone you can collaborate with, my Cosmically Aligned is a whole day about yoga and astrology. So it includes astrology workshops instead of the walk. Yoga is medicine. That's what I'm doing in spring. That's actually an educational day retreat. And I love these. Rather than just being luxury and indulgence, it is educational. My students come and they learn about the nervous system. They learn about polyvagal theory. They actually have lectures. That sounds crazy, but they love it. Lectures in a day retreat and then sessions when they get to embody that. A lot of people love to learn. It doesn't just have to be indulgence. Then there's my lunar day retreat, which is all about living in cycle with the moon. Day retreats for different festivals, like I've done a holiday retreat and a Navaratri day retreat. Then something really simple, like my summer ones used to be called Journey to Bliss. Doesn't really mean anything. Gave me a lot of creative freedom as it came up to think, what yoga am I excited to share right now? I've done an Ayurvedic journey, demystifying Tantra, embracing autumn, spring detox, new moon rest. Anything goes, but all of my days follow that rough timetable outline, but the content is changing based on the theme of the day. Okay, doing really well. Just a couple more bits to cover. Collaborating. This is called the Yoga Teacher Collaborative, and I love to collaborate, and I have done collaborative day retreats, but you need to have some discernment and discretion around collaborating and thinking about, why are you wanting to collaborate? Is it simply that you're nervous around running a day retreat and you want someone to hold your hand, someone to do it with you, someone to share the workload? That is the wrong reason to collaborate, and that is actually coming from a place of fear and lack, because having someone to work the day retreat with doesn't always make things easier. It doesn't reduce your amount of work, because when you are planning something on your own, you just get to crack on and plan it. When you are collaborating with someone 50-50 on a day retreat, every decision needs a discussion. Therefore, it takes longer. Then you have to split the profit. So either the day retreat has to be more expensive so you both make a fair wage, or you're just halving what you can earn, meaning it's more work and less financial reward for it. So better reasons to collaborate is if the person you're choosing to collaborate with has their own community and can double the amount of participants. So say you feel really confident that you can bring 10 people, but you know you can't bring more, and you find someone to collaborate with who has their own community and they equally feel confident that they can bring 10 people. Then you've got a day retreat for 20 people. You're both making as much money as you would had you done it just on your own. You can make it more affordable for people, and you can share the teaching. So collaborate if you don't have a big enough audience and the other person has an equal size audience, and you can both bring half the people. Then when it comes to the finances of collaborating, it isn't just a straight 50-50 split. There's 3 pillars or 3 parts of the work. First is the administrative work. Who is going to be booking the venue, putting it on their website, taking the bookings, taking the payments, sending the follow-up details. Then who is going to be actually bringing the students, who's got the community, and then who's going to be teaching on the day. So it might be that you do all the admin, you bring on the people, and then you've just got someone guest teaching for you. Splitting that 50-50 would not be fair. Or it might be that you're doing all of the behind the scenes work, you're bringing 50% of the people and you're doing 50% of the teaching, then it's still not quite 50-50, it'd be 60-40, something like that. So really look at the split when you're collaborating financially, and is that reflective of the different components of work? Another way to collaborate, that is the way I tend to collaborate, is to pay a guest teacher. So if I want a sound healer in on my day retreat, I know I'm going to be doing all the work putting it on my website. I know my audience is big enough to fill the event. I just want to bring in that expertise. I won't collaborate with them. I'll pay them as a guest teacher. And equally, please don't ask people, what would you charge for this? You know your budget. You know what you can afford. Set your budget and tell them. I tend to pay something like $125 to $175 for someone to come in as a guest more if it's sound healing, like 200, 250, because they've got all their equipment to bring. But, tell people what you can afford. We all hate being asked, what would you charge for this? So be full of integrity and honest and upfront about what the budget is and what you can afford to pay someone, what is fair. Okay, lastly, timelines. Is that lastly? Yes, lastly, timelines. I work really far out in advance, but I would recommend working about 6 months in advance or more, especially if it's hard to secure venues. It depends where you are. So I said I'm booked my venues through to December next year. I tend to work a year in advance, but 6 months at least to book your venue, book your caterer, book a guest teacher if you're having one. I rarely do anymore. And or who you're going to collaborate with. Everyone's diaries gets full, so start that minimum 6 months in advance. And then if you've got it booked then, why not just straight add it to your website? Some people are really early bird bookers. So 6 months at least in advance, book your venue, book your caterer, book your collaborators and or guests. Add it to your website, and you might as well announce it straight away. So as soon as you've got the thing confirmed, just announce it. Even if it's 6 months away, going, hey, I'm so excited. I know it's a long way away, but I'm really excited to share this with you. Why don't you get it in your diary now before your diary gets busy? Then just leave it be. Let some bookings just trickle in. And then I tend to focus on actively marketing a day retreat about 3 months before. Then that's going to look like 2 to 3 emails to my community, not just one. The first email might just be straight announcing the day retreat and telling people what's in it and inviting them to book. Then the second might be more educational. So say, for instance, I'm doing a day retreat about lunar living with the moon. I might have a marketing email that's about on a full moon, about some introductions to some rituals and or why you might want to live in harmony with the moon. So it's educational. And then at the end, an invitation to dive in more by coming to my day retreat. And then the third email is going to be a last chance to book, or just a reminder a month out. If you need a last chance later, go for it. And then you're mirroring all of that on your socials. So making sure that, yes, you're just straight announcing the thing, but you're mixing it up with some educational content as well, so people understand why they might want to indulge in this event with you. You can do early birds. I don't. I just don't like them. I don't like the idea that people have paid different amounts to be on the same thing. But if it makes you feel more confident that you've got people booked in, absolutely offer an early bird if you like. I would prefer or recommend a friend. So, bring a friend and get £10 off. Something like that. Come as a pair and get £10 off each. Ask people that are already booked to bring a friend. Advertise it as a great present. We've got Christmas coming up. Even better reason, get your day retreats sorted now so that people can buy them as Christmas presents, or people can request, hey, I'd love this as a Christmas present. Same goes for Mother's Day. One of my retreats next year is on Mother's Day. I'll advertise that way in advance as, hey, treat your mother, come together. Or get someone to buy you this so you can just spend your Mother's Day on your own. Yes, advertise them in local Facebook groups. You're going to be predominantly filling this from your own community, but it would be really nice to get some extra fresh people in, so advertise it in your local Facebook groups. Don't always presume that your in-person community read your emails or see your social media. Could you print off an old school invitation, flyer, poster? Do you remember those little party invitations we used to get as a kid? Could you print out something like that and give them out in a class as an invitation? At the beginning of the year, I tend to give everyone a postcard. On one side, it'll have some educational content, like the key astrological dates for the year. And then on the other side, it'll have all of my events for that year. That works really well for me. But some printed material that you can give out in class. There are lots of other ways, so do remember to go get the guide that supports this. So I've got my road map to sold out retreats and workshops that talks you through creating a web page for it. You get that at lauragreenyoga.co.uk/freebies. Okay, my loves. So that is your introduction to running a day retreat. Now, you know I love connecting with you here. I do these sessions out of love, support, encouragement. So if you go ahead and implement something from this, let me know. Tag me on your socials, comment here in the Yoga Teacher Collaborative, drop me an email. Yes, Laura, I've gone and booked it. Please, I want to cheer you on. I want to say well done. I want to know that these sessions are valuable for you. So drop me a line in the comments here if you've learnt something from today. Share this podcast with anyone you know that might help this. Let's spread the love. We are all here to serve and thrive. Okay, thank you, my lovelies. I will see you again soon. Bye for now.